Hello everyone, this is the Eloquent Peasant and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. This is the first in a series of videos that I'm going to be bringing regarding everything to do with ancient Egypt. As much as I can cram into this channel you're going to get. So the basic idea is that I'm going to bring you lots of different short video presentations regarding a multitude of different themes. So we will be talking about religion, death, the economy, kingship, all sorts of subjects, and we're going to be doing lots of little videos about them. They may take very short looks at things, be that translations of short ostraca or stela, such as the one that this video is concerning, or there may be ever so slightly longer presentations dealing with something a little bit more thematic and in-depth, something that basically needs quite a lot of explanation and a lot of talking about as well. So we're going to be looking at all things ancient Egypt, and this is from the pre-dynastic times all the way through to the Roman conquests. What we'll probably do as well, we may have a look at some of the more outlandish theories about ancient Egypt out there, looking at some more of the alternative ideas as proposed by people like Hancock and Baval, and see what we can do with those. Basically go in and deconstruct what they're saying and see if there's any truth in that matter. So it's essentially going to be my channel, which is a labour of love about everything to do with ancient Egypt, really. So if you want to get these videos as soon as they come in, I'm going to be at least uploading minimum of one video a week, probably a couple, to be honest. So if this is something that you might want to jump in, it's probably worth hitting the subscribe button, because they'll come straight to your inbox. You'll get a notification there as well. So yeah, so we're going to take it from there and dive straight in. So the first material that I wanted to look at today and the subject is I'm going to touch on this really briefly, because I'm going to come back and do a longer video about this idea, but it's something which Egyptologists call personal piety. And personal piety is essentially the concept of having a more direct connection with the god, you as an individual having a more direct connection with a certain god. Specifically in the Amarna period, there's textual evidence which states that the only real way you could have any connection with God was through an intermediary such as the king. And of course, lots of the time in the Old Kingdom, the king was really divine. There are documents and texts where even touching the stick of the king, was seemingly a bad thing to do. But really, in the New Kingdom, this idea of personal piety came in, which may have been an answer to the Amarna period, where individuals who were essentially not royal, just workmen, could petition the god, or could answer the god, or could talk directly to the god. And this stela is really interesting, because it's a stela that actually delves into that kind of subject. Neferabu actually left two stelas. It seems like he was a bit of a naughty boy and transgressed two gods. The first one was Ptah, which is the text that we're going to look at now. The second one was the goddess of the peak, which was above the Valley of the Kings. And that was personified as a goddess called Merit Sega, who is a snake goddess, which will feature in the next video. So we're going to look at the stela of Neferabu with his, basic transgression against Ptah in this video. Now, Neferabu was a workman who was the son of Neferenpet. He worked at Deir el-Medina during the mid part of the reign of Ramesses II. There's not a lot of secure sources from this period regarding Neferabu. He does appear on one of the absentee lists, and there's a couple of other texts as well which aren't really clear. There's nothing really securely dated about this period anyway, not from the textual documents. It's not until like the 19th, 20th dynasties that it's really secure. But we do know a bit about Neferabu, partly because of these stela and his tomb as well. Neferabu was buried in TT5, where he left this image here, which is an image of essentially his peer group, his family and his friends. There's lots of kinship terms on here, such as Sen, brother, and Senet for sister, which they're used in a lot more wider reference than you think. It's not typically just literally brother or literal sister. These terms do have kind of wider connotations, which again will be the subject for another video. So this is Neferabu and his extended family. The stela that we'll be talking about today is found in the British Museum. Its accession number is BMEA 589. I'm going to put the link for this stela down in the description so you can go along and see it, but I'm going to put the reverse of the stela up as we're reading through this, because this is the translation of the text that we're going to be giving. I'm not going to bother with the small kind of throat clearing on the front of the stela, because it's essentially just Neferabu's name and titles. There's nothing really in depth. It's the real meat of this stuff is on the back of the stela, which is what we're going to jump in and read right now. Beginning of the account of the power of Ptah, south of his wall, by the servant in the place of truth on the west of Thebes, Neferabu, truer voice. He says, I am a man who swore falsely by Ptah, lord of Ma'at, and he caused that I see darkness by day. I shall speak of his power to those who do not know him and those that do, to the small and to the great. Guard yourself against Ptah, lord of Ma'at. Look, he does not ignore the misdeeds of anyone. Stop yourselves from pronouncing the name of Ptah falsely. Look, as for the one who pronounces it falsely, look, he shall be cast down. He caused that I be like the dogs in the street while I was in his hand. He caused people and gods to see me as a man who had made an abomination against his Lord. Ptah, lord of Ma'at, was vindicated against me, and he gave me an instruction. Be merciful to me. Look to me that you may be merciful. By the servant in the place of truth on the west of Thebes, Neferabu, truer voice, before the great God. So that was the translation of the reverse of the text, and it's interesting for a couple of reasons. It seems like Mr. Naughty Neferabu transgressed the god Ptah. Whether he swore or took his name in vain isn't actually specified in the text, but the results of that are, which is that Ptah caused him to see darkness by day. Now, this has stirred quite a bit of debate between Egyptologists as to exactly what this phrase means. Does it mean that Ptah made him blind? Of course, seeing darkness by day would make a lot of sense there. Or is it something a little bit more allegorical, that it's essentially he had a run of bad luck, and this was a way that the Egyptians used to talk about stuff like this, that he made him, he made him blind, something that was really, really nasty. Is it an actual physical thing that he's talking about here, or is it like a metaphor for the actions of Ptah, essentially making him useless, making him, not really suitable for society because he couldn't work if he was blind? And this is just really interesting because you don't really get this kind of text in the Old or Middle Kingdoms. Even in the 18th dynasty, texts like this are just not seen. It's not until really the time of the Ramesside kings where these ideas came in, where the individuals such as Neferabu could actually petition the gods and warn other people against taking the god's name in vain. He's essentially saying, this is what happened to me, and if you don't watch yourself, this could happen to you as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick read through and this brief overlook of the stela. I'm basically just going to cut it short here because the next video is going to be, I don't want to say the second part because apart from the individual it's unconnected, but the second stela of Neferabu, where he's talking about the same subject matters but this time to the goddess Merit Sega. And what I will do, I will bring this presentation and that one together and round off some more of the ideas and the concepts within that. But of course, by all means, if there's anything that you want to know about this text, if there's any more ideas or questions or anything like that, drop them in the comments down below. Please feel free to give this video a thumbs up or subscribe. It also helps. There's going to be lots of videos on their way coming, and it's going to be ironed out as well. I'm going to get some swizzy fancy introduction for this and polish up the presentation a bit, but I just wanted to get this channel started because there's a tendency I could just be sitting on my hands waiting until everything's perfect, and I just wanted to get something up. So this is the first video in the series. If you're watching this, thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. This has been the Eloquent Peasant, and thank you and goodbye.